Picture this. You're sitting across from someone you love, someone you chose on purpose, and something small just happened. Maybe their eyes flicked to the phone one too many times. Maybe their tone shifted a half step cooler than you expected. Maybe they gave you that quiet ma'am that sounds like agreement but feels like distance. And suddenly, you're sitting in a room with someone who's physically right there and emotionally somewhere you can't reach. And your brain does this thing it always does. Why does this keep happening? Is this just what long-term love actually feels like? Am I the problem? Did I do something wrong? Why do I feel so unseen by the person who promised to see me? But here's the part nobody explains. The dynamic that feels like control usually isn't about control at all. It's about two scared people who never learned how to ask for what they actually need, so they improvise with whatever tools they had. And those tools often look like manipulation because they're the only language that nervous system trusts in that moment. You're not failing at love. You're not with the wrong person. And what you're about to recognize in this video isn't a flaw in her. It's a pattern almost every couple has quietly rehearsed without ever naming it. By the end of this, you'll understand the 7 dynamics that quietly erode connection from the inside, and you'll know what actually shifts each one. Let's get into it. Most people believe that when a partner starts using subtle pressure, guilt, or strategic emotion, one of 3 things must be true: that it's a character flaw, that it's intentional cruelty, or that one of you is the villain and the other is the victim. That story feels clean. Honestly, it keeps you stuck forever. But the real truth is this. What looks like manipulation is almost always a nervous system that learned, usually long before your relationship ever started, that direct vulnerability wasn't safe. Not louder conversations, not more compromising, not scheduling a weekly check-in, but 2 people who actually feel safe enough to be honest with each other for the first time in years. So instead of saying, "I'm afraid you'll leave me," the wire becomes jealousy. Instead of saying, "I need to feel chosen," it becomes testing. Instead of saying, "I'm scared," it becomes withdrawal followed by an apology you didn't earn. Here's the part most couples never figure out. When you see these patterns as the language of fear, and not the language of intent, you stop reacting to the behavior and start responding to the person underneath it. That's when things actually shift. Not because she changed, because you stopped being the audience for the pattern and started being the exit from it. Most couples think accountability is about catching the other person in something. So when tension rises, one partner starts keeping a quiet record: what was said, what was forgotten, what was promised, and what wasn't. Outwardly, it looks like remembering. Inwardly, it's a ledger being balanced. The deeper truth is this. This pattern almost always belongs to someone whose nervous system doesn't feel safe being seen as fully human, with flaws, with needs, with the capacity to mess up and still be loved. So they create an invisible system of proof that they're holding it together, because somewhere in their history, being imperfect meant being abandoned. Here's what it sounds like. Disconnecting version: you said you'd be home by 6. You said that twice. Were you planning to tell me, or was I supposed to just notice? Connecting version: hey, when plans shift like that, my brain goes straight to wondering if something's wrong with us. Can you help me out next time with a quick text? See the difference? One builds a case, the other builds a bridge. And when you do that, the scoreboard between you dissolves, and the relationship stops feeling like a courtroom and starts feeling like a place you actually want to come home to. Most people in relationships believe that vulnerability is a one-directional gift. You give it, the other person receives it, the balance is restored. So when the reserves run low, some partners learn to ration it. A tear here. I just feel so unheard there. Carefully timed, carefully measured. This isn't theatrical, it's protective. Somewhere in this person's emotional history, being fully open resulted in being fully weaponized. So vulnerability became something you spent like currency, never more than you could afford to lose. Her brain is quietly registering: if I show him too much, he'll use it. If I show him just enough, he'll come closer. This is where it gets interesting. Disconnecting version: I guess I'm just the worst partner you've ever had. I'm sorry I'm such a disaster. Delivered flat, designed to flip the script. Connecting version: I felt myself doing that thing where I make myself the villain so you have to reassure me. I'd rather just tell you I'm scared and let you show up for the real thing. That's the shift that turns emotional manipulation into emotional honesty, and your partner can finally meet the person. Underneath the performance, most couples think decisions in a relationship should feel shared. But underneath that belief, sometimes one partner quietly ensures that every meaningful choice runs through them first, not through confrontation, but through mood, through timing, through fatigue. Through a strategic enthusiasm that quietly vetoes things without ever saying no. The deeper truth, gatekeeping like this is almost never about control itself. It's about a person whose sense of safety is built on being needed in some irreplaceable way. If you don't need them to navigate the world, they panic, even if they couldn't explain why. Something in him is saying, if she doesn't need me to translate anything, what does she actually need me for? And here's what changes everything when you see it clearly. Disconnecting version, whatever you want to do is fine with me. Tone says otherwise, nothing gets booked. Connecting version, I noticed I'm doing that thing where I say yes and quietly make it impossible. I want to actually want what we do. Can we pick it together out loud? When you bring that pattern into the light, your partner stops feeling managed and starts feeling met, and the whole relationship starts moving again. Most couples believe trust is something you build once and coast on. But for partners who never got consistency modeled growing up, trust becomes something that has to be reproven, quietly, repeatedly, across tiny daily moments that look like nothing from the outside. The psychology here is precise. This pattern belongs to someone whose attachment system was calibrated for unpredictability. They learned early that love came with conditions, so they keep checking the conditions, not because you're failing them, but because no one ever taught their nervous system that steady love was actually real. What's moving through her is, I need him to choose me again today, even though he chose me yesterday, and even though I'll need him to choose me tomorrow. Here's the contrast. Disconnecting version, I'm fine, I trust you, I just think it's weird you didn't mention we'd be there. Followed by 3 days of distance. Connecting version, I felt a flash when you made that plan without telling me. I know it's not about you. I just want you to know I noticed, so it doesn't sit in me alone. And when you name it out loud instead of acting it out, the test stops being a wall and becomes the moment a wall turns into a window. Most couples avoid the word "oh." But quietly, some relationships run on a hidden economy, where small sacrifices, remembered mistakes, or past hurts quietly accumulate interest. And one partner waits for the right moment to cash in. Not in anger, in weariness. Here's the part no one talks about. This pattern usually belongs to someone who learned that their value had to be earned repeatedly. So they're not collecting debt to punish. They're collecting it to prove, on some primal level, that they're worth the trouble of being chosen. If I never ask for anything, he never has to decide if I'm worth it. But if I never ask, I disappear. And here's what changes everything when you finally get it. Disconnecting version, no, it's fine, I'll just do it myself, like I always do. Connecting version, I'd like help with this one, I'm not trying to keep score. I just want to feel like we'll show up for each other on the things that don't feel exciting. When you stop collecting and start asking, the resentment you've been quietly holding for both of you finally gets to set down. Most couples associate intimacy with the big moments, the hospital, the layoff, the 2 a.m. heart-to-heart. But some partners only know how to access closeness when something is on fire. So the relationship hums along on neutral and only ignites when there's something to fight through together. This isn't preference, it's wiring. For someone whose nervous system learned that neutral meant risky, because in their past, nothing bad happening meant nothing good was coming either, peace feels suspicious. Closeness only feels earned when it costs something. He doesn't reach for me unless we're scared. So if I want to be reached for, I have to make something happen. This is the one most couples never figure out. Disconnecting version, I don't know why we never talk anymore. I guess we just don't have anything to say. Connecting version, I think I only know how to come to you when something's wrong. I want to practice coming to you when things are okay, even if it feels awkward at first. That's when your partner stops feeling like an emergency contact and starts feeling like the person you want to choose on a Tuesday for no reason at all. Most people in relationships think silence is the absence of communication. It's not. Silence is its own language, and one of the loudest forms of pressure a partner can use. The pause before answering, the fine that closes a door, the tone that says everything the words won't. The deeper truth, withdrawal like this is almost always protective, not punitive. It's what someone does when their nervous system has decided, usually correctly, that engaging in this moment would cost more than they have. It's not contempt, it's survival. If I say it now, I'll say it wrong. If I say it wrong, he'll leave, so I'll just be quiet until I can hold it. And here's what nobody explains about that silence. Disconnecting version, nothing. I'm fine, let's just drop it. Followed by days of cold distance. Connecting version, I don't have the words right now and I don't want to say something I'll regret. Can we come back to this in 2 hours? I don't want to disappear on you, I just need to land first. When you make that distinction, silence stops being a punishment and becomes a request, and the room stays open even when the words don't come. This isn't a checklist for managing her. It's an invitation to understand what she's protecting, what she's afraid of, and what she never learned to ask for directly. When you bring that awareness into the relationship, you stop reacting to the behavior and start responding to the person, and she will feel the difference in your body language before you've said a single word. This isn't a communication hack. This is what it looks like when someone has learned to love without losing themselves in the process. It's the beginning of becoming the kind of partner you always wanted someone to be for you.